The following clip you're about to watch was posted by a woman who noticed something deeply unsettling after reviewing her Wise camera footage. The TV is on in the background, a movie playing, and the motion sensor is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, picking up the movement on the screen and flagging, which means the sensor was active, responsive, and functioning correctly at the exact moment this was recorded. And then the shadow moves. Now, before anyone suggests the footage was sped up or manipulated, the timestamp is visible at the bottom of the clip, ticking forward in real time, exactly as it should. The TV is playing normally, the picture moving at the right speed. Nothing about the footage that suggests any kind of editing or acceleration. What you're seeing is happening in real time. Have a look.
Rewind it. It didn't even pick up that motion.
Here's what makes this clip genuinely difficult to explain away. You see, a motion sensor works by detecting changes in infrared radiation, heat signatures, physical presence, the displacement of air that comes with movement. The TV triggered it, but the shadow didn't, which means whatever cast that shadow either produced no heat, displaced no air, and left no physical trace that the sensor could identify, or it exists on a frequency that the technology simply has no framework for detecting. In paranormal research, this is referred to as a non-corporeal manifestation, a presence that has enough energy to be visible to a camera lens, but not enough physical density to register on sensors designed to detect living bodies. The fact that it was caught visually but left no motion signature suggests something that exists in a halfway state, present enough to be seen but not fully anchored in the physical world in the way that would make it detectable by conventional means. What that shadow was moving toward, where it came from, and why it chose that particular moment to cross that room, none of it has been answered. But what do you think? In this next clip, you'll see a specific kind of terror reserved for spaces that are supposed to be completely sealed off. When you're out in a trailer, surrounded by nothing but the elements, the lock on that door is the only thing standing between you and the unknown. But what happens when the unknown decides those physical barriers simply don't apply to it? Now, before you watch this clip, consider the mechanics of a standard trailer door. It is designed to be heavy, weather-tight, and secure. For it to not just open from a fully closed, latched position, but to violently and repeatedly slam with enough force to visibly shake the entire structural frame, it requires an immense amount of deliberate physical power. Wind doesn't turn a locked handle. Wind doesn't operate with an aggressive, calculated rhythm. Take a look at what happens when that illusion of safety is entirely shattered. As the outside camera makes chillingly clear, there is absolutely nothing out there pushing it. In paranormal research, this level of violent, repetitive manipulation isn't considered a simple residual haunting. It's classified as an active, targeted intimidation tactic. Entities capable of this kind of kinetic force aren't just passing through. They are making a psychological statement. Some researchers suggest that in highly isolated locations, geographical attachments, spirits bound to the raw land rather than a building, react aggressively to perceived trespassers. By manipulating the one barrier meant to keep the occupant safe, the entity is demonstrating that the lock is entirely useless. What do you think is really waiting on the other side of that threshold? I'll leave you to be the judge. This next clip was posted by a man named Tristuan. For a while now, he's been dealing with the kind of low-level disturbances that make you question your own sanity, catching fleeting movement out of the corner of his eye, seeing reflections of someone walking past when he's entirely alone, and hearing doors quietly open and close themselves around the house. Unsettling, yes, but something he had managed to live with, until the day the activity stopped being passive and became violently direct. Watch what happens when Tristan, interrupted while just trying to play a video game in his office, finally reaches his breaking point and decides to confront whatever is sharing his home.
If you're walking by my office, I want you to knock it off. Holy. Is that you making all that noise back there? This thing's always closing doors. You need to get out. Dude, will you knock it off, please? You gotta get out. You're gonna lock yourself in the laundry room again? You're not leaving? You're not gonna...
What you're looking at here is a textbook, Rapid Escalation. In paranormal research, there is a massive difference between residual energy, like a door casually drifting shut on its own, and intelligent, aggressive kinetic force. When Tristan steps out, finds the hallway empty, and verbally demands the entity to knock it off, he is attempting to assert authority over his own space. The response he gets is immediate and chilling. By hurling objects off the kitchen counter right in front of him, the entity is demonstrating that his rules mean absolutely nothing. It's a forceful, physical rejection of his boundaries. But the most unsettling detail isn't the flying objects, it's the door closing in the next room right afterward. That closed door isn't a retreat, it's a deliberate taunt. It's the entity drawing a line in the sand, shifting from quietly coexisting in his home to actively claiming territory. How much of this would you endure before you simply packed your bags and left? The poster of this next clip has experienced enough weird events in his house to install cameras all over. This is normal, and many people do this thinking it'll give them a sense of control, a way to monitor and protect their environment. But what happens when those cameras only serve to document exactly how little control we actually have? Being prepared doesn't make the playback any less unnerving. While the owner was fast asleep, a motion notification pinged their phone. What they woke up to find proves that whatever is walking those halls operates entirely on its own schedule. A grandfather clock is not a lightweight piece of furniture, and the glass casing on the front isn't something that swings open easily. It usually requires a deliberate grip and pull to overcome the latch or the friction of the wood. This isn't a random, chaotic burst of energy knocking a cup off a table. This is a calculated, precise manipulation of a heavy object. But there is something even more chilling about the specific choice of the object itself. A clock is the ultimate symbol of the living world, our way of tracking hours, routines, and normalcy. By physically opening it in the dead of night, the entity might be making a very deliberate statement. As the homeowner themselves noted, this activity happens on their time, not ours. It's a quiet, sinister reminder that once you fall asleep, the rules of the living no longer apply, and the house belongs to them. If an unseen presence can casually open a heavy wooden door just to prove a point while you sleep, what else is it doing just out of frame? In this next clip, we see an old, sprawling industrial factory in the dead of the night shift. There's a specific kind of sinister energy that old factories hold. They are hungry, heavy places, forged from decades of relentless, often dangerous labor. Other employees working this lonely shift have reported similar occurrences for years. Cold spots that move, the sound of footsteps on gantry platforms, and equipment in locked sections inexplicably turning on by itself. They call them residual echoes of those who never truly left the clock. For one patrol worker, those stories were just scary tales until he saw this.
Manche. Yo te de prende, no me grito. Manche, no hay nadie. No manches. De hace rato que me andan aventando botas, pero no sé quién es. No, pero no creo que sea nadie.
It's a surreal sight. That door shouldn't be moving like that. It's an automatic door and there's no one there. It's almost as if someone or something is triggering that movement. This is what makes the footage so truly unnerving. Other night shift workers have reported seeing isolated objects move, but this isn't a cup falling off a table. It is a display of focused, kinetic power capable of manipulating heavy machinery. So what do you think happened here? A glitch in a forgotten circuit board, or the ghost of a factory floor that can't let its physical space go? I'll let you decide. The video you are about to watch was posted by a woman who had slowly come to a terrifying, isolating realization. She was no longer alone in her own home. For several months, she experienced a series of unexplained events in her house. It started with small things, items being moved, the sound of footsteps in other rooms, and doors being found open after she was sure she had closed them. Eventually, these disturbances became more frequent and intense. One night, while home alone, she heard a loud crash from downstairs that sounded like heavy furniture being moved or overturned. She decided to record the situation on her phone as she went to investigate.
Oh my God.
When you hear a violent crash in the middle of the night, standard human logic dictates that you are dealing with a break-in. But look closely at her immediate, visceral flight response. She doesn't call out a warning to an intruder. She doesn't grab a weapon to defend herself, and she doesn't freeze in place to listen. The absolute second she hears those heavy, deliberate footsteps rushing up the stairs toward her, her reaction was pure, unfiltered panic. This means she already knew whatever or whoever that wasn't a human intruder. Now that's not all that happened that night. Have a look at what happens the moment those footsteps reach her landing.
Oh my God.
The heavy footsteps stop right outside her bedroom door, instantly replaced by a violent, erratic rattling of the handle. In paranormal profiling, this specific behavior is categorized as a predatory tactic. An entity vibrating a door handle with that much sustained force isn't struggling with the mechanical lock like a human burglar would. A person tests a knob to see if it gives. This unseen mass is purposefully generating noise to maximize the psychological terror of the person trapped inside. It wants her to hear it trying to get in. It is feeding on the isolation, the anticipation, and the sheer, paralyzing dread of the moment. For a few agonizing seconds, the rattling is the only sound in the house, and then something even scarier happens. There is a chilling theatricality to what just happened. We see the agonizingly slow, deliberate creak of the door opening to reveal a pitch black, entirely empty hallway, followed instantly by an explosive, violent slam. That is not a residual echo playing on a loop. That is an intelligent, highly aware manifestation asserting total dominance over its environment. It opened the door slowly, just to prove that physical barriers and locks mean absolutely nothing to it, and it slammed it shut to demonstrate exactly how much physical, kinetic power it possesses. Unsurprisingly, the woman packed up her life and moved out of that house shortly after capturing this footage. But it leaves us with the most terrifying question in paranormal research. When an unseen presence displays this level of focused, predatory attachment to a specific individual, did she actually leave it behind in that empty house, or did she just pack it up and take it with her? I'll leave you to be the judge.